Does a man have to be emotional? Does a man have to be strong and stoic? What do we expect from men? What do you expect from men? In this video, I'll explore my perspective to these questions, and I'll share a little bit about my emotional journey and what's helped me move forward, confident and secure even in all of the emotions that come along with living life. And where we want to start is a story, and it was actually from my dad's funeral service. And when he passed away, it's been this coming up year, it's gonna be 20 years since he passed. And I remember going to his funeral service, and one of my cousins was there, and naturally, my dad passed, his mom was still alive. So my grandma on his side of the family was still alive. And my cousin pulled me to the side, to comfort me and to show love and share a hug. But then he said something to me that's very fascinating. He said, we have to be strong for grandma. And he expressed this, that you got to be strong, like this perspective. And I thought about that conversation. Again, it was in February, it's gonna be 20 years since that conversation took place, but for whatever reason, I never forgot it. Because if you begin to pull back the layers of what he meant by we have to be strong for grandma, what he was getting at was almost, let's not cry, or let's not show our sadness and how devastated we were at my dad's passing. Let's pretend like everything is okay, even though it's not okay. And I say all of that because, over the last couple of weeks, I posted a couple of sad or more emotional videos, and again, I have a great support system. Again, out of this world friends, out of this world family members who show up for me on an ongoing basis. I have a therapist. I have really close friends, people that I'll make the video. I'll go back and I'll ask people about it and get perspective and consider, should I do more of these videos? Should I do less of them? And it's multiple layers. It's not like I can't cry on command, right? I can't just say, okay, let's start crying so I can make a video. No, in fact, sometimes when when I've been emotional before I've made a video, I've wondered if the emotion will stay around once I hit go live for a stream, or even for a video that I record. And sometimes in the past, I haven't been able to even stay in that emotional moment to make an emotional video. Yet, as I've gotten older, that's changed. I've been able to sustain some of those emotions, this sadness, that despair. I think somebody even wrote, I think it was my friend Laura, said she can hear the agony in my voice when I'm talking about some of these sad moments. So I want to share one. Now, does a man have to be emotional? I think the answer to that question is no. I have plenty of guys in my circle who are masculine and have versatility in who they are, how they operate, even in their empathy, their sympathy, being able to connect emotionally. Yeah, that's not really, them crying is more of a rare occurrence. But what I wanted to share with that is what's kind of helped me to be more secure and confident in my emotions along the way. And part of it goes back it goes back to this all the time, which is really that Bible worldview, that Bible perspective. So it was interesting, even as a younger man, when I started reading, I was, really started intently reading when I was 17, 18 years old, and really getting into the scriptures and reading these stories of these men in the Bible who wept. And again, if I'm just being transparent with you, as I read these stories about these men weeping, I'm like, bro, like, why are you crying? Like, what is going on? And even as I'll pull one up here on the screen for us so we can look at it together in Genesis chapter 39. Let me go over there. Here we go. And it's the story of Jacob, and you might know Jacob as Israel. Israel is who the Israelites or the Jewish people were named after from the book of Genesis. And if you just follow the story from the book of Genesis, you get Abraham, and his son was Isaac. His son was Jacob, and Jacob is renamed Israel in chapter 32. But in chapter 29 is when Jacob meets Rachel, who would be one of his wives. In verse 11, it does say that when Jacob, verse 10, when Jacob saw Rachel, daughter of his uncle Laban, and Laban's sheep, he went over and rolled a stone away from the mouth of the well and watered his uncle's sheep. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and began to weep aloud. And they have a whole love story, and it's filled with conflict, and the sister Leah, and all of these situations that took place in that story. The reason I bring it up, I remember reading that story as a young man, again, 17, 18, 19 years old, reading that story and going, Jacob, like, bro, why are you crying? Why are you weeping over Rachel? Weeping at first sight. That didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. Again, even me, right? Even me loving my wife and seeing her beauty, and the first time we interacted, it wasn't, again, this brother over here who has more of those emotional leanings still was not moved to weeping over seeing my wife when we first met, or even after we met, or even on our wedding day. That wasn't really something that was really moving for me to weep on my wedding day. So the reason I bring this up is because one of the things that's encouraged me over the years is because so many of my heroes, I find them in the scriptures of the Bible, and whether it's Abraham or Jacob or David, these men were incredibly strong and courageous and powerful and capable, and moved forward and made a difference and had an impact and showed initiative, and they had these masculine characteristics that I think many of us would look up to and appreciate and admire, and we'd go, yeah, like that's the kind of man I want to be. And then and also they also had another side to them. So David, a number of times in his story, there's weeping involved in his story. So then, and then we see the story. I think one of the people quote, one of the shorter verses of the Bible. They quote John chapter 11, and it describes that Jesus wept. So you have Jesus, who being described as he wept. David wept. We have Jacob wept, and you have these stories again of these mighty characters in the scriptures weeping. So there's a part of my personal human development moving forward in life, weeping or crying or sobbing or having this emotional expression. For me, because of all my heroes did it in the scriptures, it was never something that was weakness or less than or something problematic. In fact, for me, looking at it, I was like, okay, if these guys, in all of their strength and all of their power, still can have a component of them that was willing to weep and cry, then surely this wouldn't disqualify somebody from being a strong, masculine individual. They can be both emotional and strong. Now, the key in all of this, in my experience, is not allowing those emotions to be Lord, not allowing those emotions to run one's life, but to be aware of the emotion. And sometimes, yeah, for me, it is to lean into it and to cry and to have, to really connect with that. Again, for me, I'm not everybody. I'm one guy, and so there's a part of my confidence and my security that comes from being able to be emotional, cry, sob, weep. So I see the similarity between me and biblical heroes. I go, okay, like they cried, they wept. If they can do it and be okay, I can do it and be okay, and I won't lose anything. Because my respect, even in reading about those guys, it really didn't diminish. Again, a few times when I was like, why are you weeping right now? Like, that's not even a time to weep. So anyway, back to again the development. The other thing is I just have constantly had supportive people around me who didn't um, didn't try to stifle that part of me. I think sometimes when people describe toxic masculinity, they describe it as kind of that stuffing or stifling the emotional component of a man, like don't cry, which I feel like I've never really had that really growing up at all. The part of it too is at least where I'm at now is like very few insulting things get me emotional. So that's not even a factor. Very few insults or negative things said to me about me. Those things aren't the things that get me. It might be something else. Again, it might be some trauma, drama that other people are going through that gets me, or it might be a memory of my own drama or trauma that I've had that gets me emotional. But it's not so much, again, whether it's insults or negative things people say. Again, I'm very, very blessed to have a lot of people who are supportive. In fact, even when I post those emotional videos, there are people who are reaching out to me and just wanting to check on me and make sure I was okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I mean, again, so all of that, if I'm hopping online, if I'm posting an emotional blog where I'm writing and I'm talking about emotional things, or if I'm getting on a video and talking about it, I think there is again a absolute truth to the pain that I'm experiencing, and again, this is not either or. This is and both, and I'm experimenting with the art of performance. So there's a performance component of it. Like, and I'm wondering even to my there's a doubt, like, can I capture this emotional experience while sharing some thoughts and maybe offer one piece of advice or wisdom in the whole matter. So, um, so number one was, hey, that helps that the security and confidence in the emotions that come my way as a human is I see my Bible heroes who are rocking, strong, steady, inspirational, motivational. I see them crying. I see them weeping. And I still admire them and I still look up to them. And then number two, so it had a supportive environment. And then number three, it's also just realizing that I also see the other side of my life that is filled with a lot of strength, right? So when we begin to talk about what a strong man is or what a masculine man is, like, okay, does he exercise? Yeah, I do that. Does he get other men to exercise? I do that. You know, I invite guys over, or we go eat. We've a number of times we met up for like whatever. We're working out, we're running, or we're lifting, or we've done a weightlifting competition here in my house. We've done a number of times meeting up to spar to box from a cardio perspective. We've I've organized times for the guys to go hunting or the guys to go fishing together. So again, playing basketball, again, there's the competition of man versus man engaged in different minor battles. Again, I'm not like big on like whatever, like MMA wrestling. Some of my friends are, but all of those things. So if my perspective of, hey, what helps me be secure and confident, even though those emotional times come in life, it's biblical heroes. It's the supportive environment that I've always had when it comes to showing up and being again having negative feelings, and then people supportive around me and accepting me as I was. And then this third piece of it is the all the evidence I have that certifies and solidifies that masculine component of who I am and what I do. So again, it's helped me to go, okay, like I can be that guy who's not afraid to go volunteer in prison, who's not afraid to give up and get a speech, who's not afraid to confront somebody about a problem they have in their life and nobody else is doing it, and I'm gonna go do it. To have the conversation about, hey, there's a time for a termination, for an employee situation, or this person needs to get terminated. And so if I see the evidence of that masculine component where the masculine component where you could be both. You could be stoic, you could be strong, you can be emotional, and have that vulnerability. And here's the crazy thing about it is when people have asked along the way, what's helped me to build friendships across again it transcends age, race, even religious affiliation. What's helped with that is this is it's vulnerability more than anything. Um, and vulnerability, it's interesting is people want to do it the least as far as be vulnerable, but when it happens, there's so much courage that's commanded when somebody's real and vulnerable and authentic that it can be something that that it speeds up the connections we have with people around us. I just seen it happen in my life over and over again, and I think it's a big part of the blessing I have in especially in my faith walk. I'm gonna give y'all one more text to look at, and we'll wrap this one up. So it's from 2 Corinthians. It's gonna be chapter 12. One of my favorite passages. Let me pull that up on the screen so you guys can see it too. All right. All right. It's one. It's been said in motivational speeches, but anyway, in verse 8 it says, "3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me." There's this thorn in Paul's side, but he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses and insults and hardships and persecutions and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." So this is again an additional teaching from the scriptures that help me to remember that even though there's hardship or difficulty, even if it's just in memory, if there's weakness or insults that I'm facing at the time, or even opposition via persecution, then even in that space, I can have strength in my weakness. Anyway, hope that encourages you. Hope that gives you some clarity. I'm very, very blessed. Again, if you have additional thoughts on this, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and then we'll see you on the next video.